Hey, what's up, Croco Sports fam? Today I'm gonna be leading on to my last video that I did. I wanted to keep the fantasy aspect alive, and I talked about the sleeper wide receivers, and you guys were so awesome and so efficient about giving me some feedback and telling me what other guys that are on the radar, who I missed, and how those players that I named in the last video can build off their stellar last season and really make a splash this year. And so today I wanted to talk about the running backs that are kind of not in that top 5 range, like the Saquons of the world, the Ezekiel Elliott's, the Alvin Kamara's, Christian McCaffrey's, of course. So these are the other guys, not the Will Ferrell movie, but the other guys. So I wanted to open the book and say I love Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake is, I've had him in fantasy for a couple of years, and he wasn't the best on Miami, so I didn't go for him last year. And one of my best friends picked him up once he had him all season actually, and then once the Dolphins made the move to trade him to the Arizona Cardinals, took off. He took off. That offense is, with Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray at the helm, they do a lot of pistol, they do a lot of read options, everything's in the shotgun. Like, they don't really have a lot of like under center like plays. They do, of course, but everything just runs through the shotgun because it really keeps the defense guessing. And so like Kenyon Drake, like for instance, he had a 70.6% shotgun carry rate. So, and that was number 6 in the league. So he's really part of a very dynamic offense, and they're very lucky to have him. He had 817 rushing yards, averaging 58.4 per game, which is number 24th in the league. 50 catches for 345 yards. He had 8 total touchdowns, was number 12 in the league. And he averaged 15.2 fantasy points a game. And I wish that was the situation when I picked him, but I couldn't be happy for the guy. He doesn't really get a lot of goal line carries. He only had 5 goal line carries and ranked number 29th in the league. So it's, they can definitely up that a little bit. Kyler Murray's definitely a threat in the red zone. You got Larry Fitz, Christian Kirk, and now you got D-Hop. That's going to be a huge game changer. And Kenyon Drake can definitely make a splash for sure. And he did last year. He had 4 touchdowns in one game. And he's more than the Miami Miracle. And that's saying something. That play was unreal. And he had 34 broken tackles. He's averaging like 2.4 a game, which is number 35 in the league. And those are good numbers. He's not really a ground and pound kind of running back. He's a speedster, but he does have a surprise toughness about him, which is awesome. So Kenyon Drake definitely got a thumbs up from me. Another guy I'm obsessed with. Love Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler his stats really blow my mind. Like he had 557 rushing yards, averaging about 35 rushing yards a game. He had 993 receiving yards. He's averaging 62.1 yards per game, and that's number 2 amongst running backs behind Christian McCaffrey. And he had 2 drops all year. He had 11 total touchdowns. He averaged per game 19.3 fantasy points a game. And he has an 85.2% catch rate, which is number 5 amongst running backs. So there's an 85% chance he's going to be catching that ball. And it was such a bad situation last year with Melvin Gordon holding out, and because Austin Eckler, weeks on end, he was going off. He was going so nuts, and I loved seeing it. You love to root for a guy who's an undrafted free agent who has an immediate impact in the passing game. They do run it with him, but he's more of a pass catcher, and he's a very elite scat back at that. And so now I'm very excited to see him take that starting role and run with it. No pun intended. With no Melvin Gordon in the building, Melvin Gordon's in that division, so that's going to be a treat to watch twice a year. And so Austin Eckler is definitely going to be a name to watch for years to come. And he's been great. He's been great for these past couple of years, and I never want to get that mixed up, because when he's on the field, it's you know it. and defensive coordinators definitely know it too. Another running back who was a rookie last year that's making his sophomore entrance is going to be Miles Sanders, and Miles Sanders is I really didn't hear about him until maybe week 5, week 6. Honestly, he's been making a name for himself. He had 818 rushing yards, averaging 51.1 per game. He's got 509 receiving yards. He had basically 1,300 all scrimmage yards for the year. 50 receptions, averaging 3 catches per game. 6 total touchdowns. He's averaging 13.5 fantasy points a game. And one stat that playerprofiler.com really got me was when he has a juke rate, one of the best jukes in the league at 32.8%, which means that's a likely that he's gonna make that first person miss. And when he jukes, he'll usually get by it. And that comes off of maybe the screen passes, that comes off of the shotgun runs, the under center runs. And I know Miles Sanders he's going to be one of those guys who's an all-purpose back, and it doesn't hurt to room and be a backup to Saquon Barkley as well from Penn State. So that's definitely he's got a lot going for him, and I'm very pumped to see him. Running back from the Seahawks, Chris Carson. He has an injury problem, but Seattle will run him to the ground if they have to. And and he probably loves that. He loves to have the trust of running the rock, and they've been a run first team for a long time. And he had 1,231 rushing yards, averaging 82 yards per game, which is number 5 in the league. 267 receiving yards, averaging about 17.8 yards per game, which isn't the best. But I mean, Seattle just runs, and you have Russell Wilson, who's arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, so he could put him in the best position possible. Chris Carson, he had 9 total touchdowns, which was number 10 in the league. He averaged 15.5 fantasy points a game, which ranked him number 12. He had 13 breakaway runs, which was number 3 in the league. And so that offensive line is paving the way in some way, and he was top 3 running backs with those kind of breakaway runs, and they were game breakers. There was one specifically I remember that he was running against the Buccaneers, and Devin White came behind him and karate chopped the ball out of his hands, but he was already 60 yards downfield at the time. So he's got surprisingly breakaway speed. He's a powerful dude. He had 85 broken tackles, averaging 5.7 to 6 broken tackles a game, and that's a problem. That's a serious problem. And he had and there was another stat that I saw was he created on his own 526 yards, on his own power, yards. 526 yards created on his own power, whether it's breaking a tackle, stiff arming a guy, juking, trying to set his blockers in a certain way just by himself. He's a powerful runner, and he has the belief that he's one of the best in the league, and his numbers don't lie. Leading me into my next running back, I have Joe Mixon. I had him in fantasy last year as well, and he was, oh my god, I had Saquon Barkley and Joe Mixon as my number 1 and number 2 running backs, along with Damian Williams, who only apparently lives in the postseason, but I know that now. And Joe Mixon, he turned up towards the end of the year. He finished the year with 1,138 rushing yards, averaging 71.1 yards per game, number 8 in the league. He had 287 receiving yards, averaging about 18 yards a game, catching. 8 total touchdowns, number 12 in the league, and he averaged 14.1 fantasy points a game. And then he led the league in broken tackles. With 103 tackles. He was averaging a 6.4 broken tackles a game, which was number 1 in the league. And, that's a guy, he had a lot of scrutiny coming into the league, you had Gio Bernard behind him, and, you have the Jeremy Hill at one point. And, Mixon is the guy. Mixon definitely is the guy. And I feel like he's getting better. He's sharpening his skills, and he's a He's a likable guy in the league. I believe in him. I definitely believe in him. I'll picking him next year. And those are the highlighted running backs that I've been seeing, and I watching football almost all the time. I've been watching their highlights, and they're definitely game breaker running backs. And so they'll be available after the first round wave. There's going to be definitely some opportunity for any kind of person to pick up one of these guys, and they're all great players and great running backs, and I think definitely assets to your team. Let me know in the comments section again if I missed anybody, if you guys want to elaborate on more, if I didn't already. And your feedback definitely, it's my motivation. I could talk about football forever. So thank you guys so much again, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.